Hey guys. So I actually have a friend um who made a comment that was too good not to address, and it really made me start to think about just like educating people about the instruments from China, what you're getting, what you're not getting, and whether people like refuse to fix them for you because they're knockoffs. So let's talk about it because um, it's actually kind of surprising. I think what I'm about ready to um, say, as somebody who does like prefer to buy the instruments that are from China. I actually have had very good luck myself with the instruments from China. And I think that what precipitated this person's comment, which basically she said, and she's my friend, so, but she made a comment which was, well, most like you should have bought a used instrument for that amount of money, because the instruments from China are just so poorly made that basically people will refuse to work on them because they're knockoffs. And I'm trying to think of what else. Honestly, and like basically something about that they're just like really poorly made and don't, I don't know, work as good. So yeah, so let's address it. And I think you might be surprised that that's not always true, first of all. And second of all, some of the instruments from China are knockoffs. So I'm going to talk to you guys about how to prevent yourself from ending up with a knockoff instrument. So because you want to avoid that. Um, okay. So what I have for instruments here, none of them are knockoffs. Let's just get that very clear. So that might be interesting for people to know. Not a single instrument in my affordable collection of instruments is a knockoff. So there you go. So what happens is they have these small factories in China and they will make these instruments. And basically they for the flute, they are made with like what's called nickel, which is just a nickel, and it is not silver plated. So this is what keeps the price like really a lot more affordable. And so what happens is they make the whole instrument, and um and basically what keeps them affordable is that I will oftentimes purchase direct from the distributor or the factory. So I'll purchase the instrument direct from the factory. So how do you do that? AliExpress, eBay, you find the factories that are straight out of China, and you, to save money, do business straight with the factory. Okay. And what you get for that is a lot less of a price, but your quality control may be a little bit more lacking than if you were to purchase from a reputable vendor in America. Now, oftentimes, what happens is they will stamp their own unbranded sort of like, brand. Okay. So I don't know. Let's just call the brand Penelope. Okay, that's not the name of the brand. So the factory just sticks a stamp on it that says Penelope. But basically, what will happen is a lot of American brands that are well known, like Pearl Flutes or something, is a good example, will purchase, a flute, a stock of these flutes from the factory, and they'll have them engraved with their own logo. And in return, what you're getting is a flute that is picked over more by a second company that will then look at it more carefully and make better adjustments before they sell it to you. So your quality may have gone up a bit because they are more fine tuned with their adjustments. So oftentimes what you're getting when you're purchasing it straight from the factory is something that has not been picked over twice to make sure it has the best quality. Okay. So it's the same thing that you would get for $1,500, but you're getting it for maybe $500 or less. The sound quality from a lot of these flutes from China is stinking amazing. Let me see if I have a way to play something for you from a flute called Glory. Now, Glory, you could probably get the same flute with a different name, but it's the same thing. It may not say Glory on it, but it, I don't know how to describe it. They mass produce these instruments and then they sell them to different well-known companies in the US. So Glory is kind of one of them, which is frequently sold on Amazon. This flute I got on eBay for $41. And I have a Yamaha. Okay, give you an example. My Yamaha was given to me as a child, and it was very expensive. It was student model, $1,500-ish dollars. Okay, and that's how much it cost back in the heyday. But then, see, this was supposed to be my backup flute because I just saw it for $41 and it was so affordable. And now that I'm in flute choir, I always want to have a backup instrument for any main instrument I have in case I need repairs or whatever. I don't want to, it's a split E right here. It's open hole, French tipping. It has these extra keys and stuff that other nicer flutes have. It's got the French tipping here and French tipping here, and it's an open hole. These are like the plugs for the keys. When I tried it, it was so much of a better tone than my Yamaha that it turned out to be used as my main flute. So I ended up using it as my main flute versus using the more expensive flute. A little secret, and I don't mean to brag or upset because thankfully, but there's somebody in my choir who spent well over $3,000 on his flute. And I sit next to him, and although he can do a lot more with his flute than I can, maybe the action is faster on the keys, this flute has good tone that matches his tone, his excellent tone, and sometimes it sounds better. Okay, so the tone of this flute is almost better than the tone of an instrument that's thousands more. I like the sound of the instruments that are made with this cheap nickel. I feel like it has a better sound to me than like a silver plated or silver. I just like it. So yeah, let me just now this I can't adjust my sound settings very well. I don't know Well, anyway, I don't want to go on and on about it, but so this gives you an idea, like, and I'm still learning every day, and so my tone's not, but so I'm a novice. But my tone, the tone in this instrument is so good. Um, if you actually heard it in person and I could adjust my sound settings, you would hear, and the ease of playing it is amazing. I really want people to realize how nice these can be. And yeah, and that for I mean this the thing is that people will look down on you if they know what's embarrassing. This is the biggest embarrassment about having a Chinese instrument that you got for very inexpensive, like $41. Give you an example, is that people will hear you play it and they will come to you and ask you what brand of instrument. Wow, that's really nice. Where'd you get it? What brand it was? That's embarrassing, because if you spent, you know, $41 on an instrument and it sounds better than one that's thousands of dollars, then it's kind of embarrassing to admit, because some people will assume that you don't take your musical career seriously if you have an instrument that's not, top of the line. But actually, don't sacrifice your sound because something is cheap. If you have a cheap instrument, you really just want to make sure you have a backup with you if you're doing a gig. So, like, if something does happen to it and it's not the best made, but it sounds good, so work with the instrument that sounds the best. This is my, and if you can't afford, a real expensive one, have a backup. Okay. Seriously, your career, you rely on it and you're just getting started and you're trying to make it. Yeah. So I really think that you could make it with this flute if you went to a musical school, like you went to Berkeley, like let's just say, and whatever. Um, people like professors and people might look down on you if they find out that your instrument isn't whatever, like, name brand. But if you really were in a situation and it was an emergency, you could at least get through, at least I would say, with this flute, at least 6 months, at least. Okay, at the very least you could get through 6 months with something like this. And I mean, maybe be on the safe side and say 3 months before it needs any kind of adjust. Now let's just talk about people refusing to repair them. It's not the case. Okay, so I've never been refused a repair on an instrument that's inexpensive, but these instruments are, like, a lot of times disposable. So it depends on, like, how much you spent on the instrument up front. So, like, this instrument would be considered disposable because if you basically break it or it stops working properly, then the cost of this instrument to me was $41. So, like, would you, like, spend hundreds of dollars to repair a $41 instrument? You could, but it probably wouldn't make sense. You might want to just go ahead, and the actual value of this instrument typically after inflation and stuff like that, I just got lucky because I got it from a secondary seller on eBay. So it was an open box special. It wasn't like, but normally this would be like $150. So you really would want to just go ahead and purchase a new one, because the cost of the repair outweighs, the cost of, the value of the instrument. So it's not that, like, people are, like, refusing to do repairs on it. It's that sometimes it doesn't make sense to get the instrument technically repaired, because it's really what they consider disposable. Okay, so like my saxophone, I got before inflation, so that's my main instrument. And instead of me renting, it costs too much money. So for well under $200, way under $200. Like I would say it was $167 instrument, okay? Because I got it used on Amazon. It needed a few slight repairs, and then the repairs ended up being, I think, about $40 or something. This is normal, that you get adjustments, when you first get something. So, for about $200, you're going to end up with an instrument for like, I've been using it for, I think it's been like a year now, and, it's going strong. I mean, you can tell that it has signs of wear, but the tone is going strong. And, for somebody who is being careful, it is the most economical decision I could have made because I'm not ending up with fees for I'm not ending up with a lot of fees and stuff like that. And that these are my main instruments. Like basically all my main instruments are from China because even though my Yamaha is something that my parents got me when I was younger, and is a higher quality instrument, this sounds better, has an ease of use, and I can hit the lower registers better with it. So I prefer to use the $41 instrument over something that is, worth way more. And I sit next to somebody who is using a flute that's well over $3,000, well over it. He had to trial it. So trialing, meaning trying it over an extended period of time, like a month, to see if he liked it or not before he purchased it. And it's way more higher quality than mine. However, my tone is better or as good as his. Okay. Now, no doubt that the action on his on the fingers and stuff and the keys are better for him. No doubt that he has better materials that his is made from, but comparatively, the tone and the quality of the sounds that my flute are making is as good, if not better, than that flute. Okay. But that's not to say that this won't break down on me or be unreliable because it's maybe not as good quality. Okay. So I want people to understand what you're getting. Okay. Now, if you purchase something for, I would say, from China for $500, it will make sense to get repairs done on it. Okay. It will make sense. It is well worth it because of the fact that because the overall cost of the instrument is more, so it then becomes not disposable because the cost of the instrument is higher. Still, people refuse to work on your flute because it is a knockoff from China. What makes it a knockoff? Okay. So my alto flute, like I said, none of my flutes here are knockoffs. None of my instruments are knockoffs. So let's just get that clear. So what happens is that they will fix it. Okay. There's certain reasons why somebody would refuse a repair. And that would be like, for instance, a Glory flute is a split E. And a lot of people aren't capable of working on a flute that's a split E, okay, unless they're like some sort of flute specialist. So if you had this and you had sentimental value, like your mom gave it to you, but then passed away, they will still work on it, okay? They're not going to deny you repairs unless it's completely junk, okay? Like as far as they can't fix it. So if it's something where they cannot fix it, then, you're SOL. Okay. There's some instruments from China that are just not fixable because they're just such poor quality. So that does happen. But chances are you're not going to ever be denied having a fix on it if you insist that you want it fixed based on from China. Okay. So that I just want to make that clear. Um, okay. So what makes a flute from China a knockoff? If I don't have a flute that's a knockoff here or an instrument, I have flugelhorns. Almost every single instrument I have is from China, and I have been very fortunate to give them all a try because I am so grateful for the instruments that I have because they work so well and they're way, way less money, way more affordable. Okay. So cheap compared to the other ones. And they sound like the tone and the quality of the tone on all my, except for one, with the exception of one, is really good. So that would be my piccolo. Um, so what makes it a knockoff is when somebody um, tries to pass it off as something it's not. So if like somebody says, "Oh, this is a Jupiter," and they stamp Jupiter on a generic flute from China, that is a lie. Like that instrument is not a Jupiter. Okay. That's just some unbranded instrument with a logo on it. It's not true. It's not a Jupiter. It's not the quality or the caliber something is. So that would then become a knockoff if it's being represented as something it is not. So another kind of instrument would be like if it was to say something like, I don't know, Yamaha or Selmer or Bundy. So let's just say if they start stamping on a well-known brand, or even a better, higher quality brand that I may not think of, like, on an instrument that's really cheap, that would be a knockoff. So you got to watch out for that. That's very concerning because, like, if you're buying an instrument like a trumpet or any kind of instrument at all, and they're you're like, wow, this is a really good name brand instrument for way less. Like, what's that about? That is, and it's coming direct from China. Be very concerned that is a knockoff. Now, I've never purchased one of those. Thankfully, when I first started, I got very confused and I actually thought those were legitimate. Um, and I looked into it and I found out that that's not legit. You want to be careful. So, you want to be careful with that. Good, real purpose to do that. And I don't know if they'll deny you repairs, but I wouldn't want to try. Obviously, don't give it a chance. Okay. Because, if they did deny it, I wouldn't be surprised. But a lot of people will fix it and not deny the repair and just like, like wink, wink, nod, nod type deal. But I just would not. I would be careful about this. I would not purchase something that they're pretending it's something it's not. Okay, I would avoid that. So, but I'll give you an example. That's not happening here. This instrument here, I'll show you, is the very same. I think it's the same instrument you would get from. This is the same instrument you would get from like Pearl for like 1,500. It's very much similar. Actually, no. I think Pearl is a little bit better quality than this. But yeah, I think it's about a little better quality than this. But anyway, so this one says Jolian. So this is the name of the factory that the factory does. It's an unbranded. Okay. Now let me just explain Because somebody said that it's, hey, more power to you. That it's like really such poor quality or something like that. Okay, hold on. It's not very poor quality. Let me explain why there's some issues with it. Now, on a better quality flute, you would not have these issues at all. So you're actually right about that. But the quality of it is overall not bad. Hold on, I'm adding a piece of cello tape to it because the it's kind of loose a little bit. But actually I've bought some special tape coming. It's an easy fix because I tried to get it fixed, but basically if you add this tape, it makes it will increase the diameter of this piece here. So that when I'm playing, this doesn't whap down. And let me just say, these are normal repairs like that one would have with a flute when you first get it. Like I would say, like there's, because of in transit, you can see there's a little bit of warping here. That's going to happen if you send something overseas. And then the action on this is a little too high, but it's way playable. And I actually ended up using a cosmetic wedge and I cut it like really tiny and then glued it. That's a temporary fix because I'm on a budget and I have a concert coming up that I'm going to play this. And the other easy fix is like the tape. Yes, I did try to get it fixed today, but the cost of getting things adjusted, and then the other shop that I normally go to is recitals and stuff. So he said no, he can't. They work just fine, like actually. I mean, but obviously when there's no frills. Obviously, you need to get your instrument adjusted when you purchase it. Everybody should. Okay, every instrument that comes, and more so so your instrument time to get adjusted when they first come. This is not a manufacturing issue in my, well, it kind of is. It's not perfect. You sacrifice something, but the issue is that I can't get it adjusted right now because I was having trouble finding somebody willing to adjust it. He was a flute specialist and clearly really mentally not all there. Replace this pad and do some adjustments to the keys. How the head kind of is too loose. That's normal stuff that you can expect. Every instrument you bring home should have that done. Like I said, that be done really good. All right. So, honestly think the tone is really good. And yeah, obviously it needs adjustments, but it's not going to happen because I can't be driving adjusted, and it's very hard to find a I feel like because of everything going on with like electronics and what kids are doing these days, that less and less people are focusing on the arts and more people are focusing, or maybe they're expressing the arts in a different way. um so it is really hard to find, it's a dying trade to find somebody who does instruments and stuff like that and knows how to repair them, and that's sad because it's like really a valuable and important job. So you know um it's definitely really an important job, and it just seems harder and harder for me to find people who do this. Like our music stores are suffering, and it's sad. Like we just lost another music recently, um, close by to where I live, where that would have been another music store I could have gone to and asked them for repairs. So that was really heartbreaking to me because it's like, it's really important, I feel. Um, but yeah, what are you gonna do? It's the way of the world. With technology and what people do every single day. Um, you know. So yes, the quality is sacrificed when you spend less money. That's the way it is. However, what are you getting for your money? Um, if you buy something that is a small fraction of the price of what a normal instrument would cost. Um, well, if you're a hobbyist and you're somebody who just has a hobby or a therapeutic for yourself, like my music instructor is very versed in psychology. This is he specializes in you know uh it just says that my connection's unstable. Um okay, he specializes in community and bringing people together, particularly elderly people and disabled. So I really have to say, I'm really grateful for my instructor. And if you're just playing in a band, a town band, something like that, then what are expensive instruments are for you because they're affordable. And what, you're not playing them hard, you're just playing it. You're a part-time musician, you're just doing it as like something therapeutic. So that's the thing. So this is for you if these kind of instruments are for you, if that's the case. And you don't want to spend arm and a leg on rental fees because you can't afford it. And you know yeah, it's part of like my therapy to do music. It really is. And I talk about it every week with my psychiatrist. He asks me. He is also a musician, and I wouldn't consider myself a musician. I would consider myself an enthusiast. I don't feel that my skill level is that of a shin. It's just somebody who appreciates it. And, that's it. I appreciate music and I am an enthusiast. I'm not a musician. So that's the way I look at myself. Now, if you feel you're a musician, you're a musician. That's the way I feel. But music's in my heart. I love music, but I just don't feel like I need the pressure of being considered a musician because I'm not as that great at it. I'm not very good at it, but I just love it. Okay, my connection keeps being unstable. It's stuck so bad. But okay, so what I wanted to say, um What I wanted to say basically is that like what okay, all my instruments here are not knockoffs. They are basically brands that are off brands. So basically they're just factory makes them and puts their own logo on them. They're not well-known brands in America. Um, and oftentimes these factories, like I said, will sell their model, like particularly this one, to a well-known music store, and then they'll stamp their logo on it instead, and they will not put the factory logo. Okay. So the factory logo from China will disappear and they'll put the shop name. Like a well-known reputable shop in America will then pick over it once they get the instrument to their shop, and they will service all the instruments they got from China from the factory and make sure that they're working at tip-top shape. Now, the factory from China already has quality control as it is, but like all those little problems that I told you about, this would have already been come serviced my house, okay? If it had gone through a second, and for that amount of money, you would have paid a lot of money, a lot more money, but like it would not have had like a few adjustments that need to be done. That's what you're basically sacrificing. But if you are if you are trying to make this work for you, go ahead, purchase the one from the factory from China, and then go get it worked on. Okay, go get it. Um, you know, go to a store and have it serviced, or a unfortunately, that's not what I was not able to do that this time. I thought it was going to be easy. I thought that I could just drop it off at the shop and have them do all the adjustments I need. Nope, that's not what he could do, because he is not a flute specialist. He is going to do his best for me. He is going to take a look at it after the holiday and try to help me with it as just being a good, kind person. But his specialty is more saxophones and other woodwinds and guitars and stuff. But that's okay. See, he is unfortunately, I can't I can't get it done until after my concert on the 20th, and I need this now. So these minor things that I did for now are going to get me through the concert. But then after that, in January, I'm going to be able to bring it back to that shop and get it fixed. So, and adjusted. So we're just not going to be able to do it now. It's got to be later. Okay. So unfortunately, so what I had to do is make do with what I have for now, and the repairs that I've done at home will sustain me for my concert, and it will get me through my concert, and then I will fix them later. So usually when I get an instrument, I bring it into the shop right away and it gets adjusted within 3 days. But that's not going to happen right now because everybody is using that place for their instruments because they all have concerts. Well, it's okay. I can still use it. As you can see, it's very workable. It still works, but it's just not, sometimes you just have to make do and, be smart about it, and, and just, wait. But yeah, you are sacrificing something when you pay less. It's not as good always, but it's still very worth it. So as far as it goes about whether or not buying a used instrument is better, like, okay, for instance, let's say I had this instrument, right? And this obviously with its minor imperfections that need working out, I would say this repair would probably be under $90. So I would say it's probably going to be more like I was told it would not exceed $50 for these adjustments on this. You should not exceed that. Okay? So I was told that. Well, great. That's normal. Even if you get a flute that is used, you're still going to have to get the same kind of, you're going to have to get adjustments when you first get it. Like any used instrument, any instrument that comes to your home, whether it be used or brand new, you're going to want to get it adjusted when you first get it. After it's been shipped out, transported to you, you do want to get it adjusted. You really do. And these adjustments are not expensive. It shouldn't be what's considered a hard repair. A soft repair is just a few tweaks, and they check for leaks, and they, but yeah. So, but whatever, it happens. Now, is it worth it to buy a used one versus a one like this that's new, like price-wise? Well, in my case, I did look for a used alto flute before I purchased this. So I did look. So I looked for. I committed to an alto part. I looked for. A rental. I wanted to find the cheapest way to do this. I went for a rental. I looked for. Another option that I looked at was a so we had rental, we had and then I had also the new one from China and used. Okay. The used flute was more money than this. Okay, it cost more money. So I couldn't afford it. There were and I looked for a year. So it wasn't like I just jumped on something. I was looking for like a year, and no, I did not find anything. So they were just actually really expensive. The closest I came to was a Jupiter. I think it was a Jupiter, and it was like a really good, that's kind of a pretty good brand. It was the last alto flute that was made in the United States. So no alto flutes are actually made in the United States. So that's an interesting fact for everybody at this point. As far as I know, there's no more companies that make alto flutes in the US. So they're all made overseas at this point. Okay. So I looked and I scouted out the most affordable option for me. And this is what I came up with. This is the most affordable way. Okay. The rental wanted $500 down. Okay. And then I was supposed to pay every month. And it was a pearl flute, which is comparative in quality. It's a little bit better quality, but the tone on a pearl is, I think, less good, at least from what I tried. And the ease of use on a pearl was a little bit harder for me than this. Now, but it had less corks to it and stuff. But what happens is that a lot of these companies. So in effect, the flutes from China are not actually, a lot of them are not, most all of them are not knockoffs. They're actually your original instrument, but certain companies will stamp their logo on the same one. So you're getting a lot of the time, the consistency of quality really depends on the vendor sometimes, because the vendor has to pick over what they purchase. So they'll purchase stuff in bulk, okay? And then they'll go over it and they'll adjust it, okay, every single one, and just make sure that it has the quality that they want their company to represent. So it really depends on the vendor. So if they don't pick over it and they don't make sure that it has the good quality that they want or the adjustments that they want. So how you can get the similar instrument as other people for a fraction of that price is you buy directly from the vendor, except that they have a different stamp or logo on it from a company you're not recognizing. And that's hard for a lot of musicians because they really, oh no, I want this and this and this brand. Okay. And then you go get it adjusted and you do the legwork and you make sure that it's, where you want it to be. Okay. And that's how you get around that and you can have something more affordable. Okay. I actually think that they're amazing. And I feel so like a kid in a candy store because like, they're just for what you get, you're so lucky. And, think about letting your kids take band and try different things, and parents, they want to go and they want to purchase their kid the most best quality and stuff like that, but you never know if they're going to practice or not. And so, don't break the wallet, like, please, like, give yourself a chance to let your kid and give your kid a chance mostly to try something new. Try band. You try a new instrument. You try something. All you have to do is be careful, get an open box from Amazon or less expensive, budget carefully so you can do it. And then you don't end up with a monthly fee for, hold on one sec. You don't end up with like a money or anything. So it's great. There are sacrifices that that I make to be an artist, to be somebody who plays instruments and stuff like that. And we all decide, what sacrifices we're willing to make, to do our art. And I just have to say, think about that. And I hope that this helps because I don't want people to really put themselves out because you're trying to keep up with the Joneses. I mean, gone are the days when you had to purchase a flute or an instrument for your band kid that was thousands of dollars or 1,000 something or 1,000 and above. Those days are gone. You don't have to do that anymore. Do your research, look on YouTube, try to see who tries different instruments and whether they like them or not. And, and don't put yourself in a position where, where you're going without, or where your kid passes or that some sort of mental health thing and this helps you regulate yourself and feel better. Like you should not have to go without being a viable part of like your community by being able to like be part of a community program or town band or something. So if you want to do something like that or you want to volunteer at a hospital to cheer people up in an infusion center that are undergoing cancer treatments, or you want to brusque on the side of the street to make a little bit of money, during the summer, and you live in a town where a whole bunch of people come by in the summer and there's a bunch of street performers and you want to do that, but you don't have an instrument. The days of worrying about whether you can have an instrument or not should be gone. You shouldn't have to worry about that just because it's an unknown branded name. Just look on YouTube and see if people sound good. And if they do sound good, then you can, and they like that instrument, then you can purchase a similar one. And then you can sound good too. And then you have something to play. that you can make money doing. If you have a gig, if you're starting out your own company where you play a wedding, you should be able to do that. I mean, for not a lot of money, you shouldn't have to buy the top of the line thing to start out. So I hope this helps, and just be careful about the knockoffs. Be careful. I don't really know if people disallow them or not, but I don't recommend them as far as like at all. Any instrument that says a high-end name but is like a fraction of the price is probably a knockoff. And I have seen instruments like that on a site called DHgate. Do not purchase from DHgate ever, ever. You will regret it so bad. That is a scam site basically, and it's not because the whole site is really a scam. It's that individual vendors might scam you, and then they have this arbitration process, so you're not able to get your money back. And you can get it back if you fight to talk to your vendor, but like I had a vendor who was saying that they were going to sell me something, and then everybody was saying, "Oh, they're sending when they send to you an item, it's like the wrong one." Okay? So they'll send like the wrong one to you and stuff. So that's all I can say. Like they'll act like they're sending you like like an alto flute, and they would send you like a C flute, which is a regular flute with a curved head joint. Avoid that. Avoid. So do not deal with DHgate, because then if you say, "Hey, I want my money back," they will be like, "Well, you have to work it out with your seller." What if the seller tried to scam you? Then they're going to be like, "Oh, well, I'll give you partial money back." And then, you're going to be stuck with having to say, "Okay, PayPal doesn't even take them." Do not deal with them. They have so many knockoff. They have a lot of knockoffs. And I actually thought, because I was so naive and I was new to everything, I was looking at them and I'm like, wow, these are like the actual real thing, and it's so much less, and it's blah blah blah. And oh my god, don't just no, don't do it. It's not worth it. It's not. And don't want to do it. So yeah, just be careful. Anytime you see a Chinese company and you're direct from a distributor stamping it with a well-known name on their instrument, that is a knockoff. Do not buy it. Now, if it's a well-known company and they're stamping it with the name of their factory and it's like got some Chinese writing in it, or it says some other name, and you're like, okay, that's weird. I've never heard about that name before, but the price is good. Go to YouTube and see if anybody else is talking about it. You can, and people will try it. Sometimes they will be nice enough to, some channels will get these instruments, and you can, like, for instance, look up Glory, and then you put in the name of the instrument, like saxophone. Okay. And there'll be somebody trying it and saying, "Oh, well, I'm a beginner, but I really like this. I've tried this and that, or I've been doing this for a while." Like, there's a lot of flute channels that will try the unbranded flutes, and like they'll compare their expensive flute next to the unbranded cheapo one from China, and it will sound really good or it won't. And they'll say, "Well, this is leaking and this is that," and they'll give you their opinion. And then from there, you can make a decision like, "Hey, is this good or not?" Now, that's not a knockoff. That's not misrepresenting themselves. That's just a inexpensive flute from a factory in China that's not well known. Okay. And yeah. And a lot of times, companies will say to the factory, Yeah, let's just say that the name of the store, like each store, okay, there's a place called um new okay, well this will give me an example like well, let's say it's a well-known flute store. Okay, they'll buy a whole bunch of these, like I said, and they'll say, "No, no, don't put your logo on it. Engrave it with the name of our store and our logo." Um, because people know their store and stuff, or engrave it with the name of our brand that we make up. You know, then they'll go through and they'll fix it and they'll pick over it once a factory from China sends it to them. So you're really, and then they'll up the price by like $1,000. Yes, or 500. It happens all the time. You're getting the same darn thing. You just need to do more legwork on your own. Yeah. There's less quality control though, so there's more room for error. It's the truth. Okay, I keep on belaboring this, but I hope that that helps because I know that there's people from the Reborn Doll community, and I am from the Reborn Doll community, which is a community of people who make and enjoy these kind of dolls. And oftentimes, in our community, there are dolls that are considered knockoffs where they will, you know, they will, like take what an artist does and like reproduce it, okay, without the permission of the artist. And then, a lot of times you can't, there's like a huge issue with this in the community where people argue about whether that's okay or not. And, but the price of it is this way and, da, 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 and it's so expensive. And, you're shunned if you sell something like that in the community. The musical instruments is different, okay? It's different. It's not like that. As long as it doesn't misrepresent itself, and it's not a knockoff, it's just from a less expensive factory, then it's actually a lot different. So I explained how that's different. It just basically means that it's just a lot different. Okay, so you're just getting a less expensive product, and you know it may have some more issues with it because of course how does that compare to something that somebody spent thousands of dollars on? It depends on the item itself, it depends on the instrument itself, but they are repairable. Sometimes with a cheaper instrument it makes it harder to repair it, and some of them are not repairable like anything. But like once you start to spend a certain dollar amount on something, then you would want, as long as your repair doesn't exceed the value of the instrument, it is repairable. So that's really what you need to take into account. And people will work on these. They're not going to turn you away. And this is why, because they know that would be foolish because you start somewhere. Everybody starts somewhere. So if you have an inexpensive instrument and they're willing to do a repair, then if you get another instrument, they can maybe sell you while you're in their store on something nicer, or you're going to be in their store more often. And if they treat you good, even though you have a cheap instrument, then chances are you're going to feel good there and you're going to want to buy something else. So I have never had somebody mistreat me for having a cheap instrument that needs repairs. So, like, that's never been an issue because people are just very smart about it. Today was actually the worst day for instrument repair for me. I had a instrument repair guy who was clearly mentally ill, and he told me he wanted to meet me in this town really far away, and he is a specialist who specializes in flute repair, and this is why my flute's not repaired today. So I drove um about a half hour away from home, and he said, "I'll call you when I get there," and he never called me. So I called him and he said, "Oh shoot, like I couldn't make it there actually. So would I'll meet you in this other town, and that town was like an hour away. Like, no, it wasn't an hour, it was another half hour away. So I went over there and he never showed up nor called me. So I was like chasing this guy around all day today. And I thought, well, this guy is really crazy. And like, I'm not going to like belabor this. I'm just going to deal with it some other time. This is not, I was going to go to Boston to get it fixed, but like that was supposed to happen tomorrow, but I can't because the driving in the city and with the cost of the gas and everything, I don't have a car. So the reason why I don't have a car is the financial component and my health. So I just don't drive that much. And the financial piece of it is just that it's just a money pit, and it's really hard to get a car right now because of the pandemic and stuff. So so the supply is not so great. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is, and I'm not actually upset about it or anything. I have friends who have vehicles and stuff, and like, so it's not, I get around, but yeah. So I mean, I was using somebody's car chasing this guy around, and it's very upsetting because we don't have like a lot of gas right now, and it's expensive. And after that I got very annoyed, and then I just looked up online how to fix things myself, and I actually had already resorted to fixing some of the things minor so that I can just play my flute in the next concert without worry. But it's not perfect, of course. Like, you want somebody who can adjust it, but I'm not going to chase somebody around tomorrow. I'm not going to go to Boston. I figured out how to make it work for my concert. I bought some special mylar tape to increase the diameter of like the head joint. And the other option, yeah, and then the fix I did with the cosmetic wedge thing is was such a smart move because it's like, financially, it's just a really nice temporary fix, and it's working great, and it's really, really beautiful and playable. Does not matter. It will be fine. It's not noticeable mistakes or issues. Like, none of it is like going to be noticeable when I'm up there playing. So, yeah, I just want people to be able to realize that it is accessible, and I want people to like, this channel is to like hopefully show that you can enjoy nice arts and dance and ballet and musical instruments and painting, and there's ways you can do that and be frugal and on a budget. And like when I did show and I'm gonna do more ballet, it's just like you can do that by watching a few ballet videos on YouTube and just in your living room. And it's good exercise, and that's enjoying art. That's enjoying dance. And you don't have to go to take classes in a place if you can't get around, or if you can enjoy it right in your home. And if you do get to a point where you're more advanced than what the tutorials are allowing, you can take lessons, but you don't have to even leave your house. You can do it on the computer. You can, so yeah, that's the thing. You can put like a chair in front of you as like the bar, or there's just certain ways that you can enjoy art without going broke, without, and I want people to appreciate it. I want people to know that. Like, I love art so much, and there's so many fun ways to enjoy it. Like, just even, doing a puzzle with a very artsy picture on it, or even like, diamond art. If you're not like, that's a craft, but this is, that's okay. It's fun. And if that's the way you express art, even if you color, that's okay too. Any way that you can be creative and tap into that creativity and have fun, that to me is worth it. Even making videos and stuff or editing them, and that's another creative way. So anyway, this has been a long-winded talk, but I think it was important to have because wow, I just wanted to thank everybody and thank the person for bringing this stuff up, because it just never occurred to me to talk about that. But it really is important so that people do not get scammed, because there are knockoffs out there, and I do not recommend them because maybe she's right. I don't think that people would want to work on something that misrepresents what it is. So a lot of reputable repair people, I don't know. I'm not really sure if they would or would not work on something that is like that, but ethically and just to be smart, it's better not to purchase that. So because you're not fooling anybody. Everybody knows that that's not real. So it's like, yeah, okay, your nickel plated contraption there is a whatever fancy I don't know, snorkel doodle flute thing. Like, that's a good brand. No, I'm just kidding. But you know what I mean. Anyways, not worth it. So mostly I found the knockoffs to be on DHgate. I have not seen them anywhere else, but I don't do business with DHgate at this point. I've learned the hard way. And I never tried to buy anything that would be, but I dealt with them and they basically withheld my money from me and told me to work it out with the seller. Don't deal with that. So that company is not ethical. I'm sorry, it's not. I know some people would argue, like, would you do business with Ali for instruments? And my answer is yes, I would. I would do it with eBay. I would do it with Ali. I would do it with Wish. But I definitely would not do it with DHgate. And you have to be careful when you're ordering from overseas. Things tend to get missing. They tend to take a really long time. So if you have a concert or something, don't order from Ali. Don't order from Wish. Don't order from overseas. Okay? Because if it's not already in the US, then you're going to be in trouble. Like, this darn thing got stuck for 3 weeks in a mailroom 2 hours away from me. Like, stupid stuff happens like all the time. Stupid stuff. So if you have a recital, rehearsal, school, and you need that instrument, band, you need that instrument, and there's, it's one thing. You might want to get a rental. Okay, you might want to get a rental, and then until the rental gets there, okay? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, until the one you bought overseas gets there, you rent something for a month or so, okay? So that you're not without, okay? Because if you're relying on that instrument, it's very inconvenient. The other thing is, when you're renting something, like, it's very hard to rent a low flute. So a low flute, like an alto, a bass, whatever, it's going to be very difficult. Okay. Because I tried to find a place that would rent to me a low flute and alto, and I flippin' couldn't. God, like, seriously, it was so hard. Like, I was like, this is stinking horrible. Like, I couldn't. You got to be kidding. It was horrible. I couldn't find a place. And then there was like one place. Oh, there was one place in Massachusetts that is like ancient, and they had a flute that was alto, and I was really excited. And they're like, yeah, like we do have an alto. And, and it was the only place that was like affordable. And it was like, I don't know, I can't remember. It was like the only really affordable place. And they're like, oh, let me just go check the warehouse really quick. Hold on. And then she comes back, nope, I don't have it. Oh, okay. So then the next thing that happened was there was this other company, and they were like, oh yeah, like we need 6 months, we need $500. And I think it was a pearl. Like, yeah, it was a pearl flute. So that's comparative in a little bit of quality than what I have here, but just a little bit. Once this is adjusted, it will be good. So then they're like, yeah, okay, $500 up front. Okay, does that make sense? Like, no. And then I would have to keep paying on it. Not happening. I don't have that kind of money. So I seriously don't. And so I opted for this way. And you work it out. And the way I did it was the least expensive and the most flexible for me. And yeah, and that's it. So I will talk to you guys all later. Thank you for coming to my live. And I just want to say this straight up. It's the holidays. That's why I wanted to talk about this, actually, mainly because it's around the holidays. And, if you are thinking about asking for something or wanting something, or you wanted something all year long, yep, from somebody, and you exchange gifts, this might be a good time to consider taking up an instrument. It's holiday time, and there are flutes and stuff on Amazon that you can get pretty quickly for under $100 and stuff. So yeah, I just want people to try it. You'll like it. You'll really like it. You really will. And if you don't, at least you tried something new. And there's other instruments you can check into, try to get stuff that's on the used section, open box. I want people to enjoy art. I want people to be happy, and I hope this channel can help for that. Well, anyway, I'll talk to you guys all later.